Hi everyone, and welcome to another one of our In Conversation With videos. We are joined today by William Hale, who we know through Milkshake Creative. So I'm going to hand straight over to you, William. Feel free to introduce yourself and let people know a little bit about yourself.
Brilliant, thanks Kate. Hi everyone, my name's William. I run a web design agency, as Kate said, called Milkshake Creative. I've run that for the last sort of 4 or 5 years. Happened by accident because I had a mental health problem called OCD, which really limited my education and I couldn't complete my studies. And it really happened by accident, sort of in my bedroom, wanting to be successful and not being able to go out of the house and sort of go to school basically. And I wanted to be successful in life. That was my one aim. And I was good at coding. I love computers, and it just really happened by accident. I went on a documentary a couple of years ago called My Extreme OCD Life on Channel 5, which sort of broke down the stigma and common misconceptions around OCD, which was a really, really nice experience. And hopefully it helped some people somewhere that had similar problems.
Fantastic, thank you for that. Just going into that in a little bit more detail, I think we first connected, about 18 months, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, it was about that. I think when you were at your old offices.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember we had a conversation about business.
Yeah, we had a great chat, and I was really impressed by you then. And I have to say as well, you're one of the very first techie people who has not completely intimidated me with with kind of IT stuff. And so we've worked with you since on our Raw website, but you're doing really well. I'm seeing you popping up all over the place and creating websites for some really great little businesses locally.
Can I just interrupt and just say you completely glossed over the whole I was on Channel 5 thing here? That's the thing that I'm really interested in here. You're just I just make websites, and yeah, just reversing and going back to the whole Channel 5 thing. Was it a series or was it just a one-off documentary?
Sure, so it was a 2-part documentary. There's not really been much on the TV about OCD in its true form. I know a lot of people think it's about cleaning and being tidy, but it's not. It's about these intrusive thoughts that then cause obsessive behaviours. And Channel 5 reached out to me while I was still sort of struggling with OCD, couldn't go out of the house much, and just said, look, we're doing this documentary, do you want to join in? There'll be 8 of you on the programme, 2 feature-length documentaries, so 2 hours. And I said, yeah, definitely, because if we can raise awareness about this and get more people to understand what it actually means, then brilliant.
What was that experience like? Did you have a film crew following you around 24/7? How did that work?
It was about 2 weeks. They followed me around, and when I went to put petrol in, when I went around the Trafford Centre in my car, they were literally everywhere, and sort of had GoPros and all sorts of cameras rigged up in my car. So it was a mad experience and quite daunting at the beginning, but I'm really, really glad I did it because I was well out of my comfort zone. But that documentary itself accelerated the business growth massively, indirectly. It was amazing.
Fantastic. Well, you mentioned there about your kind of motivation for doing the show was raising awareness, and you've talked about some of the sort of common misconceptions around OCD. And I think you're right. I think I still hear a lot of people saying, oh, I'm a bit OCD about, having tins in the cupboard a certain way and things. What are your feelings about people's perceptions around OCD because it is a mental health issue, isn't it? It's very specific.
Yeah, I think before I had the sort of condition, I knew nothing about it. And I remember when I was at school and sort of started to present these symptoms, I had no idea what was going on. It was only until one of the doctors said, we think it's OCD. And I remember speaking to my parents about it and speaking to people I knew about it. And everyone was sort of saying the same thing. So what does that mean? You're really clean and you're really tidy. And it's actually far from the truth. I think my bedroom is up there with the messiest in Britain. So it really doesn't mean anything like this common stereotypes. It is more about what's going on under the surface, like that iceberg model. 95% intrusive thoughts and 5% sort of behaviors that you see on the outside to combat those sort of debilitating thoughts.
And was there a particular trigger for you?
I don't think so. I mean, I've really struggled to sort of work out what caused it. I was about 10 when I started to sort of see these symptoms. I was on a family holiday, and we were leaving to go out to the beach. And I had this image in my head of us crashing the car on the way. And if I didn't move one of the cushions on the sofa in a certain way, only by a tiny amount, then that car crash would happen. No, it's totally irrational, because you know that by moving a cushion, you're not going to prevent a car crash. But at the same time, it's totally real, because it's sort of a second me inside my brain.
So if there's someone out there now watching this video, what would you say that's helped you the most combat this OCD? I mean, I've had loads of different therapies to try and get through it. But I think just finding something you enjoy as an escape. And for me, it was the coding at the time, which wasn't a business when I first started it. I just loved building websites and having fun playing around with code. And that was my escape, because, you know, I could do it completely sat still. So there were no triggers of OCD by moving about. And that was my sort of biggest escape. So if people can find something that they enjoy that keeps them away from these, you know, struggles, then it should really help. Cool.
Yeah, I find that really interesting, because it's I know you do kind of credit that with being the starting point of your business, and we find that quite interesting, because for us, I think lots of people assume that if you want to start your own business, it has to be something that's like, you know, a hobby or something you're really passionate about. For us, it just came about because it happened to be the area that Simon was an expert in at the time. And like you say, for you, it was something that was a kind of a form of escape and something you really enjoyed doing. So it's really interesting to find out about those starting points in business. So at what point did you think, you know, at what point did you get to the point where you started to think, do you know what, I could actually really make a success of this and make a living out of it?
Yeah, well, it was actually just from local news about these little websites and hobby websites that I created that led to other local businesses contacting me and saying, will you build me a website? I'll give you £50. And I said, yes, absolutely, you know, because I love doing it, and they gave me money for it. So what could be wrong there? And that, it just started there. One
of the first pieces of advice I gave you when we had our chat was raise your prices.
And I still listen to that advice every day, because I still think I undercharge. But yeah, I started doing websites for next to nothing just because I loved doing them. And it just snowballed from there, because one person told another person, and word of mouth takes you everywhere.
Well, that's testament to the quality of your work as well, because if you're getting business purely through word of mouth, you've got to be doing something right. And we built our business the same way. So yeah, that's a really good sign.
Definitely. So just moving off topic a little bit here, we like to travel a lot. We do get a number of holidays in a year when we can, when we're not in a global lockdown. On that note, where's one of your favourite places you've been to?
I've been to quite a few places actually, but the one that stands out to me is a trip to Florida. I've been quite a few times, but it was a few years ago. I was about 9 or 10. There was a hurricane that had hit. Don't think it was Katrina, but it was one of them. Yeah. And on the way, the hurricane had got really bad, so we had to divert to Chicago and then Dallas before we actually got to Florida. And I quite enjoyed that. It was quite a sort of wild experience, you know, being put up in a hotel for the night by the airline and things like that. But I think looking back at that, I've used that as a bit of a motivator for me with a mental health recovery. You know, it was a really bumpy journey, really scary time. But at the end of it was something really enjoyable, which was a holiday. And I reflect on that and think, okay, I've been through a really bumpy time. And at the end of that is, you know, a life I'm living now, which is something that I enjoy and was worth that bumpy ride for.
That's great. I love that analogy. We were supposed to be in Florida this August. It's not happening.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm gutted.
Oh, well.
And everyone that keeps saying they're supposed to go on holiday, I just think, oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, we can always go another time. It's the bigger picture, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah. I mean, I've got a Lady Gaga concert ticket booked for just at the start of August, so I don't think that's going to go ahead. But I think I'm in the boat that everybody else is. You know, big things planned that we're looking forward to, and just not going to happen, which is really sad. Yeah. Just hope to stay safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
So just thinking, with you just mentioning Lady Gaga, I'm wondering if that's going to come up now. The next thing I wanted to ask you is, who or what has been your biggest influence in life?
So I've actually got two influences. It's not Lady Gaga, actually. That's just my boyfriend's sort of favourite artist. But in terms of influences, there's Carrie Underwood, who's an American country singer, who I'm a massive fan of. And she's been through a really, really big journey from going from a really small town in America to, selling out venues across the world. And she had to make some really difficult hurdles in her career. Obviously, music business is totally different to web design, but some of the things she's talked about in interviews and in her book were the struggles that she went through and the challenges that she had to make, taking those risks, which I really reflect on and can relate to. And my other one is James McVeigh from the Vamps, who's a lead guitarist in the Vamps. And I've met him a couple of times and spoken to him about some of this. And, he had a struggle with mental health and, talked about putting on a smile whilst all this was going on behind the scenes and just wanting to give up, but nobody else could see. And I think that really sort of stands out, because you don't know what anyone's going through just because they're smiling. They look okay, because you just don't know what's going on behind.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And I think as well, that is reflected, as you say, I know music industry can seem quite alien to any other industry, but I think there are parallels with business ownership, because as a business owner, everyone only ever sees the outside success, or lack of success, of course. But you are always putting on this front as a business owner. And, we've had people say to us, oh, you're so lucky to be where you are. You're so lucky that you've grown a business. And you there are times where you're kind of going, this isn't luck, you've got no idea what's gone on behind the scenes, and they have no idea the struggles that you go through, like you say, as a business owner.
Yeah, so I think I like to, analogy for me when it comes to luck is finding a £20 note on the floor. It's not, winning a business award and people telling us we're lucky because we've won one. Well, no, we're not lucky. We worked really, really hard for that, and no one sees that. And I think there's a massive difference between what people envisage as luck and what's actually hard work.
Massively so. I mean, it's the hard work and the graft, like that iceberg model I mentioned before, sleepless nights, constant hard work, not taking a salary during lockdown, all these massive challenges that you have to take, that could give you that nice look, sort of outlook for everyone else. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, we've mentioned lockdown a couple of times now. How have you found things? Because again, I mean, for us, it's been quite an eye-opening experience, because our team went on to furlough for all of April. So we kind of went back to our original beginnings, so just the two of us running the business from the dining room table again, and it felt quite bizarre. It was quite nice in some ways, because it really did make us see how far we've come since those early days, but it's tough, isn't it? I mean, as a business owner, the kind of uncertainty of this situation, I think, has what's got to me the most. So how's it been for you?
Sure. I mean, like you say, no one knew that this was going to happen, and it was just an uncertain time. No one knows what's going to happen. For me, my business has taken a hit, as has everyone else's. There's no way of predicting how this was going to pan out or how it is going to pan out. But no, like I said, stopped taking a salary myself, which I was fortunate enough to be able to do. The business has lost customers. It's gone really quiet. But it's starting to pick up again now, and sort of this week I've been back at the office and starting to try and get it, going again, because people are making inquiries again, people are advertising on news websites and things like that. But it's been really tricky, personally and from a business perspective. It's been really hard, and I think anyone that says that it's not been hard is lying.
Yeah. Do you think that you will see an upturn in business from people who are trying to pivot and work more online? Because I know you work with a couple of local boutiques that I spend money in and try not to tell Simon about, this some batch in particular, are they sort of really trying to utilize the online platforms now where they might not have done before?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got a couple of e-commerce websites that are being built at the moment, but I know that any clients that relied solely on sort of physical, in-store customers are definitely trying to rework their website to target virtual customers, because for the foreseeable, I don't think, shops and hospitality companies can open, so, takeaways and delivery companies for, your bars and restaurants is, going to be a big sort of part of my business now going forward, and that's the market I'll start to target.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
good. So one of the things that's been a massive benefit for me in my business journey is reading. Now, I struggle with reading anyway. It's difficult. I like to listen to books more on Audible and things like that. But do you recommend any books? Do you get any books that have really helped you out?
Yeah, I mean, there was one book that really stands out for me, and that was The Fear Bubble by Ant Middleton. An amazing book, all about sort of, taking advantage of your fears and, using those to your advantage and not shying away from them. And that's helped me hugely in business and personal life, because I now know my capabilities and how far I can push myself. And in business, with taking these risks, they're really stressful times, as you'll know yourself. It's hard making big decisions. But I know how much I can push myself through the fears and the worries and just take them on board and use those to my advantage.
Yeah, that's his second book, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember what the first one was called off the top of my head. But
no, I've read his first one, but I've not read that one because I think that's only just come out, hasn't it?
Yeah, but it's a really good book, and
yeah, I'll have to look one up.
Okay. So obviously, as we know, it's hard to find time for yourself when you're a business owner. You kind of quite often always on, even if you're not physically doing the work, you tend to be thinking about it, or certainly we do. So what do you do for relaxation? What do you do to kind of switch off and take a break from it all?
Yeah, I mean, music is my biggest thing. That, like reading, is an escape, just like the coding was. If it's been a really tough day at the office, or if there's a lot going on, I'll just stick on my headphones, listen to Carrie Underwood or whatever I'm into at the moment, and just listen to music. And I like playing music as well, on the piano and guitar. And it's always been an escape for me, and I've loved that.
Because you've got a YouTube channel, haven't you?
I have, where I sing terribly.
You've got all these like hidden things that until recently, when I started like doing a little bit of digging into who is William Hale, I didn't know any of it. I just thought you were just like our web designer, and then suddenly you're popping up on my YouTube and doing all this, this stuff, and I'm like, what? And then you're interviewing Faye from Steps. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's I mean, like I say, playing music and singing music, is just massive thing for me and a passion for me. And albeit I can't sing very well, I just do enjoy just recording them and sticking them on YouTube, as you do with these videos. It's a bit of fun.
Very good. You're slightly obsessed with the Faye interview. I think there might be a secret admiration thing going on here.
No, it's just
like routines or anything. Then
I'm too young to remember steps. To be quite honest with you, William. No, I just like I follow you on social media, and then one evening I think it just popped up that you were just interviewed Faye from Steps, and I was like, "Where's that come from?" It's just like very random.
How was that as an experience? Because
it was mad.
You're a massive fan, aren't you?
Oh, huge fan of Steps. I mean, I was just sat in my bedroom with my boyfriend, and just watching this live video, thinking, "Oh, I'm probably not going to be picked." She's got 200,000 followers or whatever, and all of a sudden I get this notification to say you're going live with Faye Tozer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And by this time I'm sort of screaming, going on giddy, and then there pops up Steps and all her fans. So it was bizarre, but I absolutely loved it, and made me smile for days on end.
Yeah, I bet.
Fantastic. That's crazy.
Okay. We've done all our questions. So is there
Well,
anything...
there's one last question here that
yes.
Kate's just missed, and that the final one is like, if you think on everything that you've accomplished so far, what's your one biggest achievement?
I think for me, the one thing that stands out is the mental health recovery. You know, I really got myself into a really dark place. You know, was close to giving up, and you know, the fact that I was able to turn that around in the face of adversity and set up a business, which is not only successful but profitable, for me just stands out. And you know, I'm proud of myself for that, and I'm proud of the business and the mental health recovery.
Yeah, totally. I mean, just setting up a business just on its own is difficult enough, let alone having gone through what you've been through as well.
Yeah, it was hard, but you know, personal growth, you know, the hurdles I've been through to get there, you know, it was worth it in the end. Like that analogy of the flight to Florida, you know, the bumper ride was worth it.
I think that's quite I don't know what the word is. Yeah, I think for me, when you have been through sort of quite massive adversity, whether that is a mental health challenge or physical health challenges, or you know, various things that people who know us know that we've been through some major obstacles in our business journey. I think the one thing about it for me is that it gives you that internal resilience to, like you're saying, no, you can get through anything. So you know, I know people who the whole lockdown situation, they've completely freaked out about it and kind of just been really unable to cope or deal with the situation in any way. Whereas I think certainly for us, when you've got that kind of underlying certainty and confidence of, I've been through worse, you know, I can get through this. I follow Matt Haig on various social media channels, and obviously his mental health struggles are very well publicized. And one thing that he often repeats, which I really take to heart, is you've been through worse days than this and you've got through them. And I think even when you're having bad times, you know, it might not be you might not have already been through the worst thing. There might be worse things to come, but just knowing that you've been through some pretty horrendous times, it does give you that confidence to say, it's just another day, I can get through this one, and then I'll get through tomorrow, and then I'll get through the next day, doesn't it? It's that kind of, yeah.
It was actually something that you put on Facebook a while ago, Simon, when this lockdown first came in, about, you know, this is not going to last forever. And you're right. And that kind of, you know, is like what Kate, you just said there about Matt Haig's comment. And it's so true, you know, in times of, you know, peril and what's going on now, if you can find your backbone, put one foot in front of the other and just keep going, you know, you will get to where you want to get to.
Yeah,
totally. Even if it's a case of just slowing down, you know, like Kate said, we went back to just the two of us running the business for a month, you know, but we were still keeping going. And like Kate was saying, there was some clients and some suppliers that we know that just completely battened down the hatches and shut up shop, and are only just emerging now. So, you know, it affects everyone differently, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way of dealing with it, to be quite honest.
No, like I say, I just think there's something about people who've been through those sorts of challenges that kind of that power through mentality is, it resonates with us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think you've got to, otherwise you'll just sort of stop. You know, if you stop powering through and stop, you know, using that power that you've always used, you're not going to get back on that horse, you know, the same way you did before.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks a lot for your time. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention? And if not, where can people find out more about you?
Definitely. I mean, I'm on Instagram. So if you want to pop a link in below, people can come and find me and see what I get. But my company website has just been through a bit of a revamp at milkshakecreative.co.uk. So if any businesses need a website, or, you know, want to sort of rebrand their business with what's happened, you know, definitely give me a shout and I'd love to help.
Excellent. And we'll put all the links in the comments below, and link to your YouTube as well, so everyone can watch you sing.
Think badly.
Thanks, William.
Thanks so much for your time.
See you. Thanks.